Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. In the spirit of the trees, in the spirit of living nature of which we're a part, with deep gratitude to all the generations before us who have brought us to the present moment, I want to welcome you to this session of Humanity Rising. Today, we want to begin our program by a contemplation of a pilgrimage that we are organizing through Ubiquity University and various partners for this August to the sacred site in Chartres. Every year for 16 years now, we have made pilgrimage to Chartres. Over the last couple years in 2020 and 2021, we were not able to do that because of the pandemic. But this year, we felt courageous enough in the yearning to return to a sacred site that for over 3,500 years, since the early Druids and the early Celts, has been recognized as one of the most potent sacred sites in all the world, certainly in Europe, for the sacred feminine, for the divine feminine. The telluric energies there were recognized as particularly potent. And in fact, the Druids and the Celtic peoples for over 1,500 years considered Chartres to be the most energetically powerful site in all of Europe. And every year, they would gather together in sacred ceremony. So we're going to be returning to Chartres this year. And every year we have different faculty that come as our primary faculties. And this year we are contemplating the third of the liberal arts, which is the liberal art of rhetorica. And that's under the aegis of the planet Venus and the goddess Venus. So it's about love. And after 2 years of COVID, we're contemplating the regeneration of love in the world through the pathway of apology and reconciliation and healing. One of our main faculties is going to be V, formerly Eve Ensler, who you all know as the author of the extraordinary play, The Vagina Monologues, which has been performed worldwide and is one of the most translated and performed plays in modern history. And through that play, she opened up a dialogue and a consciousness around the world about the oppression of women, about how women can take control over their lives and their sexuality and their inner power with a potency that transforms their lives and transforms their world. So I want to welcome V for a few minutes as we begin our program this morning. V, welcome to Humanity Rising. Love it that you and Jackie Lewis and Andrew Harvey and a variety of people are going to be coming to Chartres for our August 13 through 19 pilgrimage. And why don't we begin our conversation this morning with a reflection from you on how you understand the regeneration of love at this moment in history, given the challenges that are confronting the human community.
Thank you so much, Jim. And I'm so honored and moved and thrilled to be here with you and with everybody who's in this virtual, wonderful space this morning. Regeneration of love. You know, it's so funny. I was up in Provincetown this weekend speaking. I had a wonderful conversation with two people, a public conversation. And I was thinking about what are we being called to do right now? What are we being called to do in these times? And I think one of the reasons I'm so obsessed about apology and reckoning and people being accountable to their past is that form of honesty, right? That form of accountability, that form of self-reflection, that form of digging deep into yourself to look where you have harmed someone, how you have harmed someone, the specificity and the detail of that harm. And then to really, really look at the impact of that harm on that person feels like an honesty that is a regeneration of love. Because I think authenticity and honesty are the surest ways to regenerate love. Often we are in the midst of people, whether they're governments or states or cultures or families or partners who have done things to us that have wronged us and have wronged our people, have wronged our history, have wronged our ability to move forward. And the lack of accountability, the lack of people admitting, the lack of people taking responsibility for that almost keeps us stuck, all of us, in this place of kind of spinning in unprocessed, unexamined, and unreleased karma. And so I think for me, one very great way and one possible way, something we have control over, is developing the mechanisms and the processes and the method for apology. And I don't take apology lightly. I think it's a very profound act. It requires deep reflection. It requires um, honesty. It requires facing demons. It requires going in a way that you have to kind of bypass or go through all these systems that have been set up to deny what you've done or not touch what you've done. And I can only say that I really learned all this when I wrote the apology, which was my father's apology to me. I wrote in his voice with his words, his imagined words. I wrote the apology I needed to hear, that I had never received in all the years that I had been with my father, and then all the years after my father had died, for being a very violent sexual abuser, being a violent batterer, being someone who had um, devastated me in many ways and never taken responsibility for that. And so I was constantly living, waiting on some existential, mystical, and yet psychological level for that day when that apology would come. And that waiting was taking lots of energy from my life. And it was keeping me involved in a relationship with my father, alive or dead, that was keeping me faced in the wrong direction, shall we say.
Mm.
I needed to release that so I could open my life to a different kind of energy. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be at Charter, to be part of this whole amazing journey we're about to embark on. And I hope everyone will come be with us at this glorious place. But I'm very excited to really go through this apology process and then work with Jackie to look at the reconciliation that comes after that apology. Because I do think the thing that is being called upon all of us now, whether it is reckoning with the history of America and what has been done over and over to Indigenous people to rob them of their lands, their culture, their ways, their wisdom, which we desperately need in order to survive where we are right now, whether it's amends and apologies and reckoning that need to happen in our history of 400 years of slavery and Jim Crow and oppression of Black people in this country, whether it's sexism and misogyny, whether it's trans rights, whether it's, we can, in every direction, reckonings. And then, of course, there is the great reckoning we need to make with our earth, our mother, who we have not seen, who we have violated, who we have taken for granted, who we have extracted and not acknowledged and not honored in so many different ways. So I'm looking forward to an intensive process where we can be in a trusting group to let ourselves really go deeply into what is an apology and how is that liberating to everyone, to the person making it, to the person receiving it, and to those who are witnessing it.
Yeah, you know, what's coming to me, V, is when you add apology, reconciliation, and healing into the notion of love, you're really transforming love into a pilgrimage. It's not some sentimental good feeling that you have about another person. It's a deep encounter in the reality of which darkness surfaces, suffering surfaces, yearning surfaces. And as the goddess Aphrodite or the Black Madonna or the sacred feminine indicate, when that begins to come into play, you can be shredded by love, and you can be completely reworked by love. And so that's your notion of apology in some ways is where the pilgrimage begins, because it's not until, as you say, we're willing to be that honest with ourselves and with the other, and apologize in a sincere way, that we can really begin the process of reconciliation and healing.
Yes, and also understand that apology is a very deep thing. It isn't, I'm sorry if I hurt you, I'm sorry if you feel bad. It's really an excavation. It's really an exploration of who we were. How did we become a person who was capable of doing what went into us? What were the ingredients that made us somebody capable of doing that? And what is the alchemy that gets us to transform that? And I think sometimes the alchemy is found literally inside the apology.
Yes, it ignites the alchemical process.
Yeah.
Because without an apology, you really can't have forgiveness. And without an apology, you can't have wholeness, because you keep the world divided. And that was so powerful for me reading your book on apology, is that even though your father had been long dead, you weren't complete. You weren't whole with him until you began to channel from the other side an apology that in some way you knew he wanted to give to you before he died, but for whatever sets of reasons could not. And out of that experience, you became more whole because you ignited that alchemical process in your own psyche and soul.
Exactly. And I think it also just really reminded me how deeply we carry our perpetrators inside us. Their fingerprints are long gone, but they are on us. They are in us. They are about us. And I think when we go through these processes, we actually can extricate them. We can actually come to understand them in ways that allow us to release them and to be free. And I think that is the whole function. I think, how do we come to love? We come to be free, right? Freedom is so connected to our ability to love.
Well, thank you for joining us. I know you only have a few minutes, V, but we're looking forward to you joining us in Chartres. And I want to welcome all of you listening to this today to go on the Ubiquity website. Right on our homepage is a banner about the pilgrimage that we're going to be making to Chartres, August 13 to 19. And we're going to be for 7 days in an initiatory process, trying to fathom through the portal of apology and reconciliation and healing, how can we regenerate love in our lives, love in our relationships, and love in the world. So thank you, V.
Thank you.
See you in Chartres.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful session this morning. Bye.
Bye-bye. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we want to turn our attention to the final program in our mental health and youth sessions that we've been having now for the 6th day. It's been one of the most powerful programs we've had on Humanity Rising as we approach now over 500 sessions. Our young people are suffering. As you just heard from V, there's a lot of suffering in the world. And there's a need for apology. There's a need for reconciliation. As we bring our 6-day program to a close, I want to thank everyone and thank all those who have been participating in this very powerful program. I would like to now invite Tom Eddington and George Caponelli, who've been the conveners of our global mental health for youth program. Tom is the founder and CEO of Endangered Global. George is the founder and CEO of Age Nation. And they've been very present in supporting Humanity Rising on a variety of fronts. This one with youth and mental health has been very, very powerful. So gentlemen, thank you. And I turn now the program over to you.
Thanks, Jim, as always. And I don't know how many of you were graced and blessed in your own way to have participated in last week. And Tom's going to remind us of some of the incredible high spots that was covered. But as someone that wasn't as involved physically last week in the program, I can say that there wasn't a moment that I listened to that I wasn't deeply touched by the integrity and honor, especially of the young people who were part of the film, Connecting the Dots, and who do work in this field. There's nothing like first person addressing the critical issues of our time. And there's such great sadness, as Jim said. And it's our responsibility to do something about that. And I think last week was the beginning of an effort on the part of the terrific cast that Tom assembled, along with Naomi, the director and creator of of Connecting the Dots. I'm sorry, I'm trying to turn my phone off as I'm talking to you. And nonetheless, so I want to let Tom introduce it, and then we're going to talk about the program today, which is entitled The Strings of Hope. Tom?
Thank you, George, and thank you, Jim. Last week was an extraordinary week. I can't begin to thank Nomi for the collaboration that she and I had on bringing the film to the world, and we're still working to bringing Connecting the Dots to the world through the support of UNICEF and Save the Children and other organizations. The extraordinary group of panelists, whether it was Donna Volpita on Monday, Dr. Lisa Miller from Columbia University on Tuesday, Jane Goodall on Thursday, Dr. Sagan on Friday, and Suzanne Shirkin on Wednesday. And most importantly was the youth, having the young moderators and having the young people and giving them the voice. And one of the things that they need more than anything is to be heard, to have a safe space to share their pain, their suffering. And that we were able to pull that together last week and to give them a platform to share their voices, their perspective on the world, and give us some insights into what they need and how we can best support them. As Dr. Goodall shared with us last week, the state of the world, it's our fault. We've created this problem, and there are solutions and there is hope. And as she shared with us, through hope, there's action, and each of us need to be taking actions. And I'm just delighted that the early indications are there were over 12 million people around the world who saw the programming last week, which is extraordinary. And for me personally, that gives me hope that we were able to not only screen the film on Saturday, but to reach such a large audience with the messages that were delivered. I'm looking at the chat, and one of the questions is, how did the documentary get the title Connecting the Dots? And it's the reality is this is a very complex problem that we're facing, and connecting the dots in some ways is to ensure that people don't just dismiss, oh, it's a technology problem, or it's a this problem or a that problem. It's an incredibly complex set of issues that's creating the youth mental health crisis that we have. And so the film, I think, as we heard feedback from people throughout the week, one of the things the film does is it provokes a dialogue. And that's what we were hoping to share last week and to create for folks to have a conversation with young people in their life, with adults in their life, with leaders, with other folks, is to create that dialogue, because through that connection, through that dialogue, we have the opportunity to find solutions to the problems. And George, I know that's something near and dear to your heart, is to shift our culture to dialogue in the truest sense, and ensure that we're not just talking past each other. And it was beautiful that we were able to give these young people the opportunity to share their perspective and their pain, whether it was gender in question conversations on Wednesday, or the environmental anxiety that many of our young people around the world are experiencing. And understanding through Dr. Lisa Miller's work the role of spirituality, and that we all have a spiritual brain. And it's, it comes in, we come into this world with a third of that brain, spiritual brain, our right prefrontal cortex, right hemisphere, in place. And then it's up to the environment that we expose ourselves to and that we live in. So wonderful conversation, wonderful week. And I'm grateful to Jim and all of the folks at Humanity Rising for helping us bring last week's content and the screening over the weekend and today's programming to a global audience.
Thank you, Tom. I'm mindful, I don't know how many of you have seen Connecting the Dots. And Tom, could you put in the chat where people who have not seen the film can get to see it?
Certainly.
There's just one brief moment in the promotional piece for that film where a young girl makes a comment that just, no matter how many times I hear it, just devastates me. And that is, she says, I don't even know if the world is going to exist by the time I graduate from high school. The burden we have placed on our young people. I can't imagine as a young man, a young boy, before graduating high school, what would have been required for me to be able to make that statement, and what it would have been like looking out at a future that I didn't know even would exist. We ought to be ashamed of the mess that we have made. And every politician in our capital in Washington and every capital around the world should be wired with a sound device that makes them hear that statement by that young woman every single day of their lives until they make a difference. The insanity and the stupidity of our leadership that is allowing this stuff to continue. And in truth, our responsibility for not holding them accountable. So today, we're going to have a chance for some upliftment and hope and enthusiasm and entertainment. The REID Foundation, we did a program with them actually that preceded last week. That was actually the first day in this now 7-day summit. And we hope this is just the beginning of many more. The REID Foundation was created by Rex Elsass, and he lost his son, REID, to this despair and to this issue of addiction that results from many. And during their first program, Rex and his team at the REID Foundation and a number of the therapists and artists and performers who do this incredible work around the country had a chance to explore some of the, the programs that they give. And then on the 1st of June, there was a concert in Columbus, Ohio, that you're now going to have an opportunity to experience. And part of that concert was a gentleman by the name of William Close, who created this thing called the Earth Harp. And the Earth Harp is this gigantic instrument that is created both indoors in theaters, as you'll experience. It's also been created out of doors, as William describes, with strings stretching 1,000 feet into the air. So you're in for a treat, you're in for an exposure to a wonderful organization that does some really fine work. So I hope you sit back and relax and enjoy this program. And I also hope throughout that you consider what is it that you can do individually with people in your world to bring attention to this atrocity that is being committed against our youth. Georg, let's roll it, shall we?
And welcome to what promises to be an excellent night of music. Does this not look incredible? I'm so tempted to just run back and pluck those strings. Welcome to the REID Foundation Strings of Hope concert. I'm Colleen Marshall from NBC4, and I'll help MC this event for you tonight. And we really are looking forward to what promises to be an incredible night. I've heard from people who heard this last night, you've probably seen the videos, but to be part of this and to feel like you're in the harp, I think is going to be a special night. The REID Foundation stands for Reaching Everyone in Distress. It's a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to using the healing power of music and creative expression to bring frontline therapy directly to those who need it, and prevention to communities and those impacted by the opioid crisis, by substance abuse, mental health issues, or life crisis. In preparing for this event, I looked at some of the videos, but I had already seen some of William Close. It's amazing what he does with this Earth Harp. He has stretched it across canyons, cathedrals, bodies of water, and now in our very own Southern Theater. And tonight, these strings represent one of the greatest gifts that we can give to each other and our community, and it is the gift of hope. I want to introduce you to Rex Elsass, the chairman of the REID Foundation. He's giving us this extraordinary gift of this concert tonight. Rex founded the REID Foundation in 2019 to honor his son, Reid. Reid's love of music and creative expression sparked the foundation's movement to create innovative and life-changing programs to scale worldwide. Please join me in welcoming Rex Elsass, our host for the evening.
Thank you, Colleen. It means a great deal for you to be here with us and each of you tonight. I truly want to thank every one of you. What we're here tonight is more than memorializing our son and brother and friend, Reid. It's about giving hope to everyone who struggles with addiction. Because understand, it really is resolving unresolved trauma. And I can tell you that when you hurt and you have grief, there's only one way to release it. and that's to become a healer. So I invite every one of you tonight to become a healer, as many of you already are. It's not just the trauma in people that have struggled and have lost their battle, like REID, but it's people who currently are fighting their battle, and frankly, it's each of us in this room. Because we struggle, and every spirit who is tied to us also is affected. So it means when we get well, we're able to make others well. So tonight is about hope. And I want to acknowledge the governor and the first lady who are here. And I honor him not because of a position he holds, but because of the heart he has for the recovery community and for healing. I also want to thank one of the REID board members, my friend Dave Frecka and his wife Brenda, who are here with us. And without their kindness and graciousness, we wouldn't be here. And I want to thank you. So tonight, I give you hope and healing through harmony.
Hey, thank you all so much. Thank you. My name is William Close, and I'm here with 4, 5, 6, some, let's just say some amazing musicians. Man, these guys are really great, and we're honored to be here representing the Strings of Hope. So, what an amazing gathering of love and focus. Yes, all right. Yeah. As we move into this journey of sound and music and ideas and resonance and harmony, as Rex put it, as we move into this evening, I just wanted to take a second and tell you a little bit about this instrument. This is the Earth Harp. The Earth Harp is a piece I invented about 20 years ago at this point. The first time I set the instrument up or installed it, I mounted a series of chambers and bridges to one side of a valley or a canyon, and I ran the strings clear across to the other side, turning that canyon or that valley into a giant harp, the world's first Earth Harp, in fact. And that's where it gets its title. Now, since then, we've had many adventures with the Earth Harp. We've had it strung across golden fields. We've had it in old-growth forests. The Earth Harp has attached itself to the top of mountain peaks before. I think of this one installation we did off the top of a mountain where the stage was so far away that I had to stand on top of the mountain with a fishing pole and a tennis ball on the end of the line, and I would cast the tennis ball all the way down to the stage. And then we would attach a string and pull it on up. It's always an adventure. Every time is new. Every time is its own story. And that's what I love about the instrument and the installation of it. Recently, we were in Singapore, and we had the Earth Harp mounted to the base of a skyscraper and ran the strings 1,000 feet straight up. Now, Guinness was there, and the World Record Association, and we got it. We got the world record. It's a world record harp. Yeah. Thank you. Tonight, we're in this gorgeous, gorgeous place. It's gorgeous theater, the Southern Theater, which, by the way, I found out was the first place in Columbus ever to have electricity. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's been activated from the start. So the strings tonight are traveling from the stage platform here and traveling straight up, well, sort of at an angle, about 150 feet up to the upper level. And for those who are sitting up there, you can see the strings tied directly into the handrail and use that whole upper level as the other bridge for the instrument. The theater, the Southern Theater tonight, becomes the structure and the bridges and the resonating chamber for these giant strings. So technically tonight, we are all inside an instrument. And I love that idea. So the way, when I started building these long-stringed instruments, started in my apartment in Chicago. I started, running a string from the kitchen all the way through the living room. Anyway, I discovered that you could play it using gloves and a little bit of violin rosin dust on your fingers, and when you come up and pinch the string and run your hands along it, we can turn that up, please. It produces what's called a compression wave. It's very similar to running your finger on the edge of a wine glass. It's the same principle. Now, once I figured that you can make music out of the strings this way, I had to figure out how to tune them. So I devised a technique using these blocks. I call them tuning blocks. Really, they're sort of like a capo for each string. So as I start up high here and go down the scale, the closer in the block is to the bridge, the higher the pitch. So this would be one of the higher notes. As I go down the scale, you'll notice it gets further and further out over the audience. Now, some of these strings over here I didn't tune purposely because I want you guys to hear what it sounds like to have the string run all the way up there. In fact, if anyone's sitting by that railing and you put your hands on there, you'll feel the vibration of this. Yeah, guys, this is in a weird, this is E. Anyway, this is the open string. Can you guys hear that out here? It's not too quiet, is it? It's gotta be loud. Okay, cool. And so once I devised this way of tuning the instrument, I was able to start working with other musicians. We've had the Earth Harp surrounded by a full symphony orchestra a few times, and it's all tuned to A440. Now, I'm going to mention one other cool thing about the instrument. These outside strings are called sympathetic strings, and I think they're a really beautiful metaphor and idea. Basically, what happens with a sympathetic string, it's a string in an instrument that never gets played. However, through the playing of these inside strings, the vibration goes down into the bridge and out to these outer strings and starts them resonating, starts them vibrating. So even though they're never played, they're in a state of resonance and vibration. So I think it's pretty cool. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much Earth Harp 101. And yeah, so what a wonderful evening, and we're going to move on and play some more music. This is a piece called Found by composer Magnus Fines. just gonna quickly, this is Adrian and Luna and Sean and Richard. And we're here to take you on a journey. This next piece, we're joined by Shia, and I'm really excited about it. So, come on out, man. Yes.
The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you and me is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you and me is here to create magic on earth. Is
Wow, that was beautiful. Wow, you guys are amazing. Fantastic. Thank you. So we're going to break things down a little bit. Once I was in Italy and I got to string the Earth Harp to a castle. And it was for a festival. And the whole festival was about singular instruments. I thought that was so cool. We often hear so much together that it was a really beautiful moment to hear just a cello or just a flute or just an Earth Harp. So we're going to take a moment here and show you the sounds of what it sounds like when two people play the Earth Harp. All right. I think I already mentioned it, but this is Adrienne. And she's amazing. Well, keeping with that theme, we're going to take a listen to Adrienne as she plays, her main instrument, or one of her main instruments, the flute. lovely Luna and Adrian. Beautiful guys. So through the years, I've invented a bunch of different types of instruments. Well, this is one of them right here. And, well, this is called the drumbrella, because really it's an umbrella of drums. And we're going to play it for you here. All right. Okay, well, we have one more piece for you in this first half of the evening. Two more? Hold on, why didn't I write down? Drumbrella and Requiem? Oh, it's our piece. So, fantastic. This is Luna. She has studied music all over the world and voice and an amazing musician, and she's also an Italian aria singer, and she's just generally awesome. So,
Was that not incredible? I've never seen anything like it. I don't know what it sounds like down there, but it sounds pretty good from up here. I hope you'll indulge me before we take a quick break, and let me tell you a little bit about the important work that the REID Foundation is doing. It's been harnessing the power of music and creative talent and therapy into 2 innovative programs, and they really are having promising results that Rex Elsass can be so proud of. Healing Hearts with Arts provides creative arts program, training, and support with board-certified music therapists, specially trained artists and musicians, and importantly, healthcare and education professionals as well, to empower program participants to use, develop, and explore the artists within, and that helps to promote, of course, their own personal healing. The foundation currently provides weekly programming in 5 recovery centers, Heartland High School, and they plan to expand into prisons and nursing homes and other recovery centers as well. Now, the Creating Hope initiative is a unique 10-day, it's a structured program, intensive creative healing arts program, and it is designed for people who are especially dealing with trauma, substance abuse disorders, as well as other mental health issues. It's kind of a broad spectrum program. The Creating Hope effort combines the skills and experiences of a licensed psychotherapist, along with internationally acclaimed artists and musicians, and songwriters as well, with the program partner, the Goodness Tour. Now, this treatment initiative is multidisciplinary, and it uses progressive, structured, and goal-driven methodologies that can be measured. The pilot program in November of 2021 had patients from Base Camp Recovery Center right here in Columbus, and it demonstrated positive results, including, listen to this, 93% improvement with those who were dealing with depression. Yeah, isn't that incredible? In fact, there's a quote from one of the participants who said, "Your efforts to bring music and art to help our recovery is invaluable. It literally opened my soul again. You helped remind me about life without alcohol, drugs, and love art, music, and community instead. We thank you for saving my life." Yeah. And finally, one other person said, "This program has helped me discover my true self again after so many years lost in the bottle." So we want to give everyone here an opportunity to help support the important work of the REID Foundation. On the back of your program, there is a QR code if you would like to donate to support these initiatives and innovative and really life-giving programs. Now, there is also, if you are more old school, there's a donation box on the way out. You could put it in there. If you're like me, do I have to deal with this QR code to get a menu? Really? Can you not just tell me what you have? But anyway, if you don't want to use the QR code, we are happy to take your money on the way out. And once again, we really hope this has been really an incredible performance. We have some special guests coming up in part 2 who some of you know. So stay tuned. We're going to take a quick 15-minute break, and then we'll be back with some incredibly talented musicians. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this special event, this unique occasion and beautiful sounds. Are you enjoying yourself tonight? Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Thank you so much. So last year I was blessed with the opportunity to join the REID Foundation and go to Base Camp Recovery Center and help with the music and art therapy. We did a 10-day program, and I firsthand got to see lives transformed. I mean, people dealing with anxiety, depression, addiction, and life challenges were so moved. And I just love seeing the transformation from day 1 to day 10. Day 1 was like, well, wait, what's going on? Our meetings are changing. And then by day 3, they're like, well, when are you gonna be back? You come tomorrow? And it was so wonderful just to see who connected with who and what, whether it was the arts and crafts or the music. People were writing songs for the first time. It was absolutely incredible, and I'm so grateful for the REID Foundation, and Base Camp, and the Goodness Tour, and you all for being here to support this cause. I also want to pay tribute. I lost my brother in 2020 to an accidental overdose, and so I want to attribute this to him and anyone who's lost someone, a loved one. Okay. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I see. Thank you.
Well, we just thought we'd take a moment. Adrian's playing this beautiful Steinway grand that lives here at the Southern, and it's just such a beautiful instrument. We thought we'd take a moment and hear the Steinway with a little bit of Earth Harp sprinkled over it. All right. As I mentioned before, through the years, I've invented a lot of different instruments and been inspired by a number of different things. Architecture, nature, kinetic sculpture, and well, in this case, I guess it was fashion. Yeah, so this is a drum jacket, and well, it kind of speaks for itself. All right. Well, thank you very much. Wow, I'm exhausted. Actually, the best thing about the drum jacket is taking it off. Check this out.
fries in the kitchen. I hear them buzzing. But I ain't done nothing since I woke up today. How the hell can a person go to work in the morning, come home in the evening, ain't got nothing to say?
Beautiful, you guys. Wow. It's really, truly an honor to play music with these four amazing people. We've had some beautiful adventures together. And I've introduced Adrian and Luna. I just want to introduce Sean Barry on the guitar. He's doing a full mile experience with his beautiful guitar work tonight. Thank you, Sean. And this is Mr. Rich Sherwood back here on the drums. And he is an amazing guy. The three of us have known each other a very long time. Just a quick little story. Richard and I met. I came into the park, and there was a guy playing a park bench. Really? So, well, what do you do in that situation? Well, you go up and join him. So I started playing the park bench, and we've been playing ever since. So, all right. Mr. Richard, he's going to play this instrument back here called the drum cloud. All right. Thanks. Julie Sherwood. Well, we have a couple more pieces for you this evening. Before we head into our last few pieces, I just want to give a real heartfelt thank you to the REID Foundation and Rex and Sharon and all the beautiful work you guys have done over the last months to bring this all together. And also Mr. Dana Walden, who was the music producer and produced a lot of the elements as well. So thank you, Dana. All right. Thank you, guys.
Hi, everybody. I think the recording stopped. So if I understand it correctly, George and Tom, that'll bring our session to a close. I apologize, everyone, that this went a little longer than we thought it was. It was a full 2-hour recording. And it was by an agreement with the REID Foundation. You may remember that Rex Reed was on one of our panels a couple of weeks ago talking about what the REID Foundation is doing for addiction. So it's been part of the whole theme of youth in crisis globally. So we agreed with them that they would give us a recording of a concert that they did back east last week. So there we are. We'll bring it to a close for now. Please know that over the next 4 days, for the balance of this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to switch our focus from youth at risk to conscious leadership, convened by Tom Eddington, who's been a leadership coach and consultant for many, many years, and is really deeply immersed in the whole field of conscious leadership. So that will be our program for the rest of the week. We'll see you there. Same time, same station. Those of you who can make the after chat group, please do. You'll see the link that Stan just put in the chat box. And for all of the rest of you, we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same station. Bye for now.